For decades, we've all heard the promise, never again. But that promise, as we know, has been broken. Again and again. So today, we're not just going to talk about the promise. We're going to talk about the plan. Here at Elyssi, we believe we can actually build the systems to turn that phrase from a memorial into an operational reality. And this explainer is all about how we do it.
And this quote? It really just hits the nail on the head. Our biggest problem isn't a failure of intelligence. So often, we can see these catastrophes coming. The failure happens in that gap, that terrible, deadly gap between knowing what's about to happen and actually doing something about it. And as you'll see, this isn't a technical problem, it's a human one. It's about political will.
So, let's start with what is, frankly, a staggering paradox. We are living in an age with incredible technology, with unprecedented legal power, and yet mass atrocities continue. But what if I told you this is actually a solvable problem? Right, let's dive in and look at the tools we already have at our fingertips to prevent these horrors.
I mean, just look at the power in this toolkit. We have statistical models that can forecast mass killings with pretty impressive accuracy. We can literally watch military buildups from space as they happen. AI can comb through social media and detect escalating hate speech before it boils over into violence. And we have legal frameworks, like the International Criminal Court, designed to hold perpetrators accountable. The capability is absolutely there.
And yet, this is the gut-wrenching reality. All that power, all that knowledge, and we still see this devastating human cost year after year. And this forces us to ask the single most important question. If we have the tools to see it coming and the means to stop it, why does this gap between warning and action still exist?
And that question brings us right to the heart of the challenge, what we call the warning-action gap. To be perfectly clear, the failure is almost never in detection. We usually know what's coming. The failure is political paralysis. It's the diplomatic deadlocks that stop a clear, flashing red light from triggering a swift, decisive response.
And listen, this isn't some abstract theory. Look at Rwanda. In January 1994, the UN commander on the ground sent what's now known as the Genocide Facts. It was an explicit warning. It laid out a plan for mass extermination. The world was told point blank. 3 months later, the killing started. And just 2 weeks into it, what did the UN Security Council do? They didn't send help. They pulled troops out. It was a catastrophic, inexcusable failure to act.
And the heartbreaking thing is, Rwanda wasn't a one-off. This same tragic pattern, clear warnings followed by global inaction, we saw it again. In Srebrenica, a UN-safe area became a killing field. In Darfur, the reports were flooding in from human rights groups, from UN experts, but a real, coordinated response just never came together in time. This isn't an accident, it's a systemic problem.
Okay, so we've looked at the problem, but just pointing fingers isn't going to solve anything, right? We have to build the solution. So let's shift gears and explore a blueprint for prevention. And this isn't just a wish list of nice ideas, it's a real framework for an integrated system, one designed specifically to close that deadly gap.
The whole system is built on 3 core interconnected pillars. Now, don't think of these as separate items on a checklist. Think of them more like gears in a machine. For the whole thing to work, all 3 have to be strong and they absolutely have to function together.
So pillar number 1, it's all about getting a crystal clear, undeniable picture of the risks. Instead of scattered reports coming from all over, we need integrated warning platforms that pull everything together. Satellite images, AI analysis, reports from the ground into one unified risk assessment. And if we use a standardized framework to evaluate that risk, we create an objective, data-driven picture that's so much harder for politicians to ignore or dispute.
All right, pillar 2 is where we start to change the game. We have to completely alter the cost-benefit analysis for anyone thinking of committing these crimes. We have to make the consequences swift, certain, and severe. That means beefing of legal accountability so no one, no matter how powerful, is above the law. And it means using powerful economic tools, like targeted sanctions and asset freezes, to make atrocities financially ruinous for the people who order them.
And that brings us to our third pillar, being ready to act decisively. This means having hard power options ready to go, like rapid response mechanisms. These would be based on the responsibility to protect doctrine. That's the global commitment to intervene when a country can't or won't protect its own people. The key is pre-authorization, so we can bypass the political gridlock. But it also means deploying soft power, things like systems to actively neutralize hate speech and disinformation before they can incite violence.
You know, building this system isn't just the right thing to do, morally. It's also the smartest thing to do. The World Bank estimates that preventing violent conflict could save the world up to $70 billion a year. The cost of reacting to a disaster will always be way higher than what it costs to prevent it in the first place. It's not even close.
So, we have this powerful blueprint. The big question is, how do we get it from paper into the real world? Well, the answer is by building the actual infrastructure for prevention at every single level of society, from global institutions all the way down to your local community.
It really does happen everywhere. At the national level, governments can appoint officials who are dedicated to this. Regionally, groups like the African Union and others can build out their own warning systems. In the tech world, we can create open-source data platforms that everyone can access and share. And, so critically, we have to empower the civil society networks, the people who are our eyes and ears on the ground.
And this is where you come in. Because building a system this ambitious isn't just a job for governments or the UN. It needs all of us. So what's your role? How can you help close that gap?
Well, if you have professional expertise, we need you. Seriously. Data scientists can help us build smarter, faster predictive models. Lawyers are crucial for building the legal cases that lead to accountability. Regional experts can provide that vital cultural and political context that the raw data just can't see. Your skills are a critical piece of this prevention infrastructure.
But look, you absolutely do not need a special degree to make a huge difference. As a citizen, your voice is incredibly powerful. You can call your elected officials and advocate for funding these programs. You can support media literacy to fight the hate speech that fuels these fires. You can educate your own community. And you can get involved in the local work of just building bridges between people.
And finally, you can contribute through support. A financial contribution to an organization on the front lines is not some abstract donation. It directly funds the monitoring teams, the investigators, the response capacity that literally saves lives. That support is the fuel that makes this whole engine run. So it all comes back to this, doesn't it? We have the tools, we have the data, we have the blueprint. The technical problems, the logistical problems, those can all be solved. The only thing left, the only real question mark, is will. Political will and popular will. The question is no longer, can we prevent genocide? The question is, will we? And that's a choice that all of us have to make.